Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the Success Strategist Show. I am your host, Dr. Shimona Wembley, and I have a very special guest with me here today. Well, just before we get started with introducing our guest, let me just share with you a little bit about myself. I am Dr. Shimona Wembley. As I said, I am the Success Strategist. I'm your financial guru. So I help individuals get impacted in their finances, turning their situation around truly. I always say, how can you help somebody out of a situation if you haven't experienced the situation yourself? That's just my philosophy. As far as my business clients, with my business clients, I help their business go from red to black, coming from the financial industry with over 30 years. Ooh, I'm getting old. 30 represents something, but not that. 20 years of history in the financial industry. And last but not least, I'm a doctor of theology, so I help people live a holistic life. So that's what I'm passionate about. Those three things. So now let's talk about my special guest. I have a serial entrepreneur here. And you know, a lot of times I have brought a lot of different entrepreneurs on the show, but I haven't had an entrepreneur that actually teach the art and the background and all that good stuff that we just want to skip all over that. We just want to get to, jump in, make the money, show me the money, right? So I want to introduce to you a serial entrepreneur, Dr. Brenda Joy Actchison. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, good. So I would like for you to share with our audience a little bit about yourself. I don't want you to just jump into your entrepreneur and where you are today, but just give us a background, like, how you got started. How did you decide to choose your profession? And maybe that was your second go around. You share.
Well, I grew up in a household where education was extremely important.
Okay.
So when we were growing up, my mom always said, no matter what you're going to do in life, you want to get a teaching certification. So if all that falls apart, you can always teach. So that was the basis of my career launch. But I always knew that I wanted to do something that would allow me a lot of freedom during the day, that I would be able to move around. I knew sitting at a desk 8 hours a day was not for me. So from there, we always had the opportunity to develop entrepreneurship when we were growing up.
Okay.
So we just kind of followed the path that our parents set for us.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you said a key word, so I had to write that one down. You wanted time freedom.
Right.
Time freedom.
Right. A lot of entrepreneurs go into business for different reasons. Mine was strictly about the time. Money is good, and if you're not making any, you're not in business. You have some kind of hobby that you're working on. So being in business meant that I had to make money, but also that wasn't the primary reason for me going into business, because I wanted to be able to do some things that I was passionate about. And those things for me changed from time to time.
Okay. Love it.
All of them were in the area of helping people move forward with their lives and live their best life.
Y'all hear that? The best life. Now, right now, the best life is the new phrase that everybody uses. So their best life. Now, what does that look like?
Your best life is one that I think that is very balanced, that you don't spend all your time at work, you don't spend all of it at home, you don't spend all of it at church. And I can say that I'm married to a pastor, so it could easily be that I spend a lot of my time or too much of my time in church. So balance is important in life, that to live your best life, you can't be one-dimensional, and you can't be focused on one area of your life to the detriment of the rest of your life.
Oh, I love that. That's a quote. Somebody please type that in.
Because I will remember that.
Yes. Listen, we need that. That's your line.
That's my line.
I'm gonna have to hashtag that. I love it. I love how you map that out. Because sometimes, when we're focusing on our best life, we're thinking of the money aspect, and we're not thinking about the whole holistic balance, like
Absolutely.
Spiritual, all that good stuff. So I love how you define that. Now, fast forward a little bit. So you decided you wanted to be an entrepreneur,
Yes.
and you stepped out. What was the first thing that you did once you decided that this was going to be your path?
My first entrepreneurial pursuit goes all the way back to when I was in junior high.
Okay.
My mom always encouraged us to follow the paths of that we liked. It wasn't necessarily the path of least resistance,
Okay.
and it wasn't the most traveled path.
Mhm.
But my dad owned the first garage in Galveston that worked with foreign cars.
Wow.
My mother did the first perm back in the day when perms were taking everybody's hair out. My mom did the first what was called a soft style perm
Uh-huh.
that she did. So I always watched them do things that were not the normal. So when I was in junior high, I didn't have a sewing machine, but I thought I wanted to design. So I made a dress
Uh-huh.
with needle and thread in hand.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know if it would last the whole day.
Mhm.
And my older sister was petrified because my mother told me I could wear it to school.
Uh-huh.
And she said all she could think about was I was gonna wear that dress, the seams would start to come out, and I'd be naked in school. So she had a problem with that, but it was exciting to me that I made it and I wore it. And from then on, I would order records off of the old radio stations, WLAC in Nashville, Tennessee, and get
Wow.
records and resell them, although I don't think that was what the intent of them selling them to me. But I always saw opportunities to do some things. And to me, money was never a big thing because it seems like you can do anything and make money. I just saw it as an opportunity that was just waiting.
Okay.
So when the opportunity to teach entrepreneurship came along, I thought it was a perfect niche because I had a degree in education at the time,
Okay.
in sociology and psychology. And believe it or not, sociology and psychology, there's a lot of crossover in entrepreneurship
Okay.
because I think it takes a certain type of person to pursue entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean it's off the table for everybody else.
Right.
It just means that you have to look at what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and you build your team around what's going to help your business.
Right. So you mentioned a team. In teaching entrepreneurship, for those that are just starting it off, how do you help them to define when they need help? Because that was one of my struggles. Because you know what, there's that lack of trust. That means that you have to open up. So that means like trade secrets. What's your secret sauce?
Mm-hmm.
You have to share with other
Absolutely.
people. Like, so what is that defining moment that
Well, I
people
think
need to?
most people, it's like their baby. You're not going to give your baby to anybody
Exactly.
to hold and to help raise, because you have specific things you want for your baby. I found out the biggest issue with entrepreneurs is that they have a skill set. They may not bake a cake, so they figure they just bake cakes and make money.
Right.
But there's so much more that goes into it.
Right.
So I have to figure out a way to give them a piece of the gospel, which is the foundation for your business,
Yes.
while letting you experience some of the rewards of having baked and sold a cake.
Okay.
But then I start walking it back to say, okay, you sold this cake. Now let's talk about how much money you put into making this cake.
Yes.
What did the sugar cost? What did the flour cost? You see, I don't bake cakes. What did the flour cost? The whatever flavor that you put in the cake? Because I don't really know what all that stuff is. But I have to show them you spent $15 making this cake,
Right.
and you sold it for $20. So technically, you almost made $5. But
Right.
how much of your time did it take?
Oh, okay.
So is your
What your
time
time?
worth less than $5 an hour when you're baking this cake? Either you're gonna have to find a way to make this cake with cheaper ingredients but still have the same
Quality and consistency.
quality and consistency that you want,
Uh-huh.
but you have to be able to make a profit on it. So when they see that they're doing this and they're making it but they're not making a profit, we
Right.
start looking at how do you make a profit on this. How do you do it in a way that will allow you to make enough money? How can you sell enough of these cakes? You can't sell one cake a week and expect to make a living.
Right.
How many cakes do you have to sell each week in order to make whatever amount of money it is that you need to make from these cakes? So then we back that up and they start seeing the practical side. Sometimes the light starts to grow dim, but we're trying to mix just enough of the technical information with the fun stuff,
Okay.
so that you keep moving forward.
I love it. I love it because those are some of the things that we don't think about. We don't think about what's the true cost.
Right.
You know, we're like, okay, we made money, but how much did that cost you?
Mm-hmm. And even bigger, what is your time worth?
I know that's what you know
What
what.
is your time?
But and that's one piece that I'm missing because I didn't equate my time. Like, you know, how many hours is it taking me
Exactly.
to do this, and you know, putting a dollar value on my time.
And a really sobering thought is to say you spent 8 hours making this cake,
Right.
and you have only $5 worth of profit here. So your time is less than $1 an hour. If you were working a job, would you let them pay you $75 an hour?
Exactly.
And you'd be like, are you serious? I said, well, that's what you're making on this cake. But we teach people how to scale up a product so that even though you're buying this bag of flour, how many cakes can you get from this one bag?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
How many cakes can you bake from this one bag of sugar? If you're in your kitchen making stuff, what can you prep in the kitchen that will help with the next cake, and you've only spent the same hour of time?
I love it. I love it. I love it. Y'all excuse us. I know y'all hear a little sound out there.
That's my
But-
cake cooking.
But you know what? That is excellent because that helps the entrepreneur to think a lot deeper. And that brings me to my next point. See, most people would not take a class on entrepreneurship. And most people would not hire a life coach, a business coach, or, you know, something to help their business fully thrust forward to the full potential. So I like that, and I'm so glad that, you know, we brought you on the show because we're all about entrepreneur, we're all about money, we're all about making things happen and taking, you know, helping our guests and helping our audience to push forth and thrust to the next level and make money. Like, what can you do differently? How can we help you?
And that's another thing, that you're baking a cake today, but a cake will not be sustainable for a business forever.
Okay.
So you have to look at, okay, in this year, I'm only gonna bake cakes, but the following year, what would it look like if I added cupcakes? I start with 2 flavors, I add a 3rd flavor, I add a 4th flavor. I go into doing kids' birthdays for parties, but we show them how to make multiple streams of income from that one talent that they
Multiple streams
have.
of income, y'all.
And back to what you said, which I think is really important about taking a class in entrepreneurship or taking, even having a coach in entrepreneurship. Most people don't see the value to that because if you can bake a cake, what does a coach need to tell? What can I tell you about baking a cake?
Right, that's what they think. Okay.
Well, I can't tell you anything about baking a cake, not much about baking a cake, but I can tell you how to take that cake and make cake baking a business and not just a hobby.
Ooh, come on. See, there go another one. See, there go another one. How to take it from
From just being a hobby to being a business.
Okay.
And you know, and there's so
it.
much other stuff that's involved in it. I tell people every time, just because you have a business idea, it's not always an opportunity for your idea. Because sometimes the idea has to come when the opportunity is there.
Okay.
Because sometimes I see people, one of the most disappointing things I watched was a store open up that had a great idea, but it was the wrong time.
Ooh.
And as soon as they moved out of the building, somebody else moved in with a similar concept and was just wildly successful.
Wow.
But I think it was because they weren't thinking about the fact that there was still construction going on in the parking lot, that was gonna detract from your business, and if you didn't have the finances to wait them out,
Right.
then you'd be out of business before the traffic could even get started in the area. So
That's true.
it's just so much stuff that a coach can help you look at objectively. We don't take responsibility for you as far as saying you need to do this, this, and this. We say, have you thought about this idea.
Yes.
We have gained focus and clarity is what I do with entrepreneurs. So even though you have an idea, you have a great idea, it may even be an opportunity, we can help you think the best ways to incorporate that.
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. So, I know you in the future, we'll talk about how everyone can connect with you.
Okay.
Is you're going to be launching, right?
Right.
You're going to be launching your coaching business?
In December. I've done career coaching and personal coaching, but I'm moving that expertise because a lot of people who came to me were entrepreneurs.
Right.
So I said, why not just concentrate on the entrepreneurs and not just developing the business, but also developing their skill set so that they are a good fit for the business, help them build teams that they can benefit from as well. So we're just kind of moving in a different direction with the same idea.
I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. So what are some of the other businesses that you've started?
I had 3 dress shops. I had a high-end dress shop called Arpels in Houston.
Okay.
And then I had Unique Essentials, which was mostly accessories.
Okay.
And then I had a shop in Waco called Be Joy Bijou, which the B was for Brenda, the Joy is my middle name, and Bijou just means jewel. But it was my crowning jewel because by the time I made it to Be Joy Bijou, I had lots of experience in retail.
Okay.
And I'd learned the ins and outs of retails and how you can make it without having a huge budget.
Right.
How to use factors and how to use companies that would finance, drop ship, those kinds of things that would help you as a retailer.
Okay, I love it, I love it. So your dress sewing from back in the day.
It paid off.
It paid off.
And my sister, who everybody thought would be the one that would go into the clothing business, she worked for Neiman's. She was a buyer for Neiman's. She's also a great designer and seamstress, but she was never interested in doing that for other people.
Oh, okay.
So she now owns an event center in the Houston area. So that's what she does.
Awesome.
But she was very instrumental in me learning brands and designs and what to look for in high-end products. So she taught me a lot. She's my youngest sister, but she taught me a lot about retail. But I've been in the, I opened Platinum Career Coaching in 2009 in Waco.
Okay.
And while I was teaching at the college at McLennan College in Waco, I was also running a full-time business, 2 full-time businesses. So
you are a serial. Your whole family is entrepreneur. Your
yes.
sister, you,
As
your
my
parents.
everybody now in my family is strictly entrepreneur. They've had careers. Everybody had experience in education and careers, early careers in education, but they moved out to their own businesses.
Right. Okay.
And that's what I urge entrepreneurs to.
That's what I was
They
gonna
think you
say.
have to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but you don't.
Okay.
I think a good cautionary tale is to kind of start with your idea, start working it in the evenings, because no matter what anybody tells you, there are very few overnight successes.
It's true.
There's almost
It's a lot of work.
everybody say, oh, she just overnight she did it, but people are preparing. They're honing their skills. They're making contact. And let me back up to say this. I think entrepreneurship is all about relationships.
It's true.
Building those, just like you have a great following. People
Yes.
didn't just start following you for no reason.
That's true.
You were
That's true.
offering some value to people.
That's true.
They saw the potential, so they started following you.
Absolutely.
And I think if you're going to have a business, you can't just build it and there come.
Right.
You have to build it, and you have to develop the people who will come,
It's true.
or who may come. Even the people who don't do business with you, oftentimes will refer business to you.
Yes, they will. That is true. That is true. And another key point that you brought out, everyone, they went to school, whether someone goes to school or not, but your job foundation brings about a training to what you want to do, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can craft that into your expertise and make that your business.
Absolutely. And I think that on jobs, a lot of people are already entrepreneurs.
Come on.
There have been billions that a regular everyday person has contributed to an organization because of a great idea they had of how to do something more efficiently and effectively. And the companies always have this thing, if you create it while you're working for me, it belongs to me.
Right, and they always say you fill it out and drop it in the box.
Yes, and they say, oh, look at my great idea I got out of the box.
Yes.
And they develop that into something that really benefits their company.
Right.
I just want to urge people with those great ideas to start thinking about how you can use them to build your wealth and create a legacy for your family. And you can do that through entrepreneurship. And you don't have to quit your job immediately to do it. Because one of the things I learned from education, the book that I'm writing on emotional intelligence came about because I asked the college if I could go to a training at Gallaudet University in DC to learn about emotional intelligence and how it affected people on the job.
Okay.
Well, it was a training that at the time, there's no way I could have afforded it. Because it was in like the thousands, but the school district,
good nuggets.
The school district paid for that.
So I'm gonna stop you right there, but I don't want you to lose where you are. So that's a good nugget. So if you're on a current job and your employer offers you the opportunity to take training courses free to you, then jump on those courses, learn those skill sets, and that's more environment, more value for you.
Even if it's something you don't think you're gonna need right now, if it's free, do it.
I love it.
If it's free, do it.
Okay, so you went to this training.
I went to this training, and I learned about emotional intelligence, and I saw the major difference it could make between a student being successful in college and not. Because most people think it's the brain power, the IQ. It's not the IQ.
Okay.
IQ is good, but most people who are successful rely more on EQ, which is the emotional intelligence piece, than they do on IQ. Because it tells you, our parents, I think, used to call it common sense.
Oh, okay.
Knowing how to read people, knowing how to gauge the situation, knowing how to know what you're feeling and how to respond to those. To keep from having blow-ups at work, to just, stuff you don't like, just learn how to deal with it and create strategies for handling those. That's all emotional intelligence.
I love that.
So when I came back, to dovetail on that, when I came back from the training, the school asked me if I would train all of the police officers on campus.
Okay.
So I thought that was a cool thing. So I said, well, I'll teach them about emotional intelligence. Because one of the things that a lot of police departments across the country was having problems deciding on the age of black youth, whether they were 30 or whether they were 20, they couldn't tell the difference, or whether they were 13.
Okay.
So a lot of that had to do with conditioning and how you learn to look at people. So empathy is a big piece of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Teaching people, okay, now if this were your son.
Mm.
But anyway, it ended up in me being able to not only train our campus police officers, but I did a police officer training in East Texas for all of the officers. So when you learn a new skill, it also opens a door for you to at least try it.
Yes, love it. I love it. So we need to definitely look forward and support your book. Not even just support, like that's powerful. Learning how to read, be able to read your target market, learning how to be able to read your client base, and understand how you need to connect with them emotionally.
Because the first thing you never want to approach people with the idea you're going to sell them something.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a turn off from jump.
You're right.
So you want to approach people who you want to partner with you in a way to find out about them, what their needs are. Sam Walton was one of the most emotionally intelligent people that you probably would have met during his lifetime, because what he did, everybody was saying, when he introduced big box stores, everybody was saying, what a dumb idea.
Right, okay.
And he was saying, if I can find a few people in my neighborhood to give me $1,000 to back this concept, then I can make it work. And when he made it work, the way he made it work is that he learned the names of everybody that worked for him in those Walmart stores. He learned about their children. about their concern. So what he did is he got them invested in making Walmart successful. And he did that by, when he came in the store, he said, "Oh, hey, Mary, how are you? How's your nephew? Is he still in school at so-and-so, so-and-so?" He said, is there anything in there that people are asking for that we don't have? And she said, "Yeah, because my cousin comes in here every week and he wants such and such and such, and we don't have it." So he targets those people. That's how he creates his targets and how he hits his target. He's kind of like Charlie Brown. You draw the target around where you're hitting. Because part of business is not getting people to do what you're doing, but do what people are doing already. People are already invested in something. So you basically start honing in on what they're already doing and seeing how you can add to what it is that they're doing.
I love it. I love it. Y'all, EQ.
EQ.
That's the new look.
It's emotional intelligence. It's been around a long time. You know how people say, you know, that boy was so dumb, but he had so much street sense.
Yes.
That's what he had. He had EQ. He can do things. It's basically intuitive.
Okay.
He can intuitively know what people want, what people like, what people don't like. You know, you see people like and say, "Nobody's gonna like that," and you're like, "He doesn't know what he's talking about." And can I find out nobody likes it?
Look, I'm gonna say EQ is a new living your best life.
Living your
it's
best life.
It's gonna help you get to your best life.
And I'll tell you something else it helps with. When reading people, if a person has tested for emotional intelligence and they have a really low empathy score, but they have a real high anger score, those people are likely to commit a violent behavior.
Okay.
When they were talking about the guy from Virginia Tech, they looked at his emotional intelligence and they were saying that when he perpetrated that shooting, that he had real low empathy for people. He didn't care much about what people felt. He couldn't feel what they felt. And he was mad. So it was a good shoe-in that he would probably do something untoward. So it has a lot of ways that it can help you in business.
You know, it's so crazy because I'm laughing because something crossed my mind. So in your book, do you have like the testing for the EQ?
I do. I do the testing online. I use a company that we do it for leaders.
Okay.
We do it for lay people. We do it for students. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality assessment. They even have a course that goes into the personality types.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a college roommate, and you said, well, if they take this test.
That's why I'm laughing, because I actually was the test in there. Because look, maybe we need to have the test when we're dating. How about that?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it would be very helpful.
Okay, so for your roommate.
To tell you how important it was, is that now the college requires every student